God grant us the courage and the wisdom and the strength always to seek the truth, come whence it may, and cost what it will. Amen. See you. 7 young priests walk into a bar. The waitress leads them out to the patio, beer garden, pushes 2 tables together so they can all sit down, and hands them the beer and wine list. All the priests, of course, ordered their drinks, they're Episcopalian, and they started gabbing about church politics, as they always do, and how the liturgy at the event they were just gathered for could have been a little bit better. The priest nerd chatter continued. The waitress brought their drinks with a puzzled look on her face. The priest, of course, witnessed to the waitress, and then began talking about preparing for Sunday's sermon. It was the 4th Sunday of Easter, the next day, on which we always celebrate the Good Shepherd. One of the priests was looking for a new illustration, most of them having grown tired and weary from the pulpit. Just when he had said that, they all heard a guy scream, a bunch of commotion. They turned around and saw this guy had jumped over that beer garden little fence unsuccessfully, trying to get to a table where his friends were gathered, in the process turning over a palm tree in the clay pot in which it was held, metal chairs tumbling all around. His friends, having already had a few cocktails, were laughing uncontrollably. As soon as the luckily uninjured guy stood up, his friend walked over just a few feet and said, "Dude, the gate's right here." The early service didn't laugh either. But I really just wanted to start off the sermon with 7 priests entered into a bar. It's a true story, though. It actually happened, and it actually opened up the gospel for me. Dude, the gate is right here. Because this is always Good Shepherd Sunday. This always comes from the Gospel of John, and it's from this longer portion. The first part you may remember is when Jesus heals a blind man. He spits in some mud in his palms, puts it on his eyes, right, and the guy can see. The religious leaders don't believe it. They're against Jesus because he did this healing on the Sabbath. Finally, so in our verses today, Jesus acts as the narrator and gives them this image of the Good Shepherd trying to explain what he's talking about. The rest of us are listening in, like the disciples. Jesus is trying to give those blind some sight. To the leaders, he gives them this figure of speech. We're all familiar with this beautiful image of the Good Shepherd, the 23rd Psalm, which we sang instead of reading today. It feels good, right? If you get lost, Jesus will be the shepherd, leave the other 99 who have their act together behind, and come find you. If you get thirsty, he'll take you over to a bubbling brook, whatever you want to call it. It's clear water and cleanses your thirst. If the grass dries up in your pasture, he's got a better one, we'll take you there, right? If the big bad wolf comes prowling up, trying to find you, he's got a stick big enough to take care of that wolf. All we have to do is be good little sheep. The Good Shepherd will comfort and take care of us. But today, this portion, the image is that Jesus is a gate. A gate. But he can also be the gatekeeper, he says. So in those days, shepherds evidently took turns being the gatekeeper. You could bring your flock into this huge pen and then go and rest. Instead of a truck stop, it was a sheep stop. The gatekeeper would make sure that only sheep got in the entrance and that none that they didn't want to got out. Some people even say it was actually a fence built of brush. There were no, Stanley hinges and great gates back then, so the shepherd was the actual gate. He might even have to lie down on the ground. John says the gatekeeper opens the gate for him. The sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep and leads them out. When he has brought out all of his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. So that makes me feel better, that this image of the gate is not something about keeping people out. It's not an exclusionary image. Jesus is talking about taking us out. He is sending us out. Not sure quite where he's sending us, but he's sending us out. And if you go to the last verse, you find out that he's sending us out to abundant life. There's this tendency among people who don't believe, my friend and preacher Rick Morley says, that when we start to take our faith seriously, it means we can't do all the fun things we used to do. But what Jesus says is that he's not here to lead us into constraint or misery or punishment, but to lead us out into new life. The old way, the way of the world's way of living with all its excesses, is the constrained, fenced-in existence from which Jesus comes to free us. So the story gets cracked open in a new way. Jesus comes, opens himself up as the gate, sets us free, leads us out to experience this life that overflows from the cup of salvation. But actually I found out that it's more than leading us out. If you go back to the original word, when he has brought out all his own, it actually says when he has thrown out, ejected, put forth, driven out all of his own. I kind of like that. Jesus is pretty serious that we're not going to just be safe in here. Yeah, come on, eat, rest for a little while, but the abundant life is out there. It's not a pretty little invitation or suggestion from Jesus. Not giving us some pointers about the flavor of the grass over there. He's sending us out pretty forcefully. Get to it, he says. Get a move on. There's abundant life out there, and you are missing it. Seriously, hurry up. The thieves and bandits have what's in that pen. There's nothing there for you. I know where the good stuff is. Just trust me, get out there. Jesus comes to liberate us from the bondage of sin and excess and constraint and leads us out to be born through the gates of God's new life, where not even death or destruction or the valley of the shadow of death can harm us. So it seems to me this is the time to stop cheating ourselves. Take a second and think about the last few weeks of your life, the decisions you have made. Did you settle or take the easy way out? Spend too much time thinking about what you could buy, what you needed to do to have a more abundant, shinier life? Perhaps you thought that purchase or what you were doing was going to bring that happiness, but when you got home, you didn't immediately have it. That's exactly the point. We don't have to do anything to achieve abundant life. It's a free gift full of grace and mercy. You don't have to run and jump over the fence and knock something down and hurt someone else or yourself in the process. The gate opens and Jesus will send you out. Leave the thieves and bandits and temptations behind. So are there several different ways to look at this whole shepherd imagery? You bet. Jesus, the good shepherd who reaches out, finds us when we are lost, welcomes us home as part of the flock. But don't get too comfortable because he won't let you stay there. Jesus is calling us forth out into the world to receive abundant life, overflowing with blessings, meant for us all, a free gift, and to show others that abundant life as well. He knows the way, the better way out. So come on, dude, the gate is right here. Amen.